Good morning, my friends. It is Monday morning and I am very tired. I'm going to have a rest day. I'm just going to work on my screens all day. I may, if I can go get a massage, I will do that. I actually have here my morning coffee. Thank you, bakery. Coffee. We love coffee. I do hope also that you can hear this because there is a lot of construction going on next door, and however, I've got my microphone here. I actually into the video that I apologize if you watch that video. My audio is not on point as it usually is. I'm very specific about having very clear, crisp, sharp image and very good audio quality. So this is definitely unscripted. I literally slept in this morning. I feel very tired, not so much physically tired, however, mentally, like I need to check out. Today I will get into some work. I just completed the 2-day freediving course with Apneista in Amed, and Amed is so beautiful. It is a part of the island that I've never been to, so I'm super, super grateful that I got to see there, even though I was only there for 2 days. I did this freediving course. Now, I actually had no idea what I was signing up for. Ever since last year, everybody, and I see it advertised like at different places here in Uluwatu, specifically at Drifter, to do like an apnea course. And I never signed up to do it. I just hadn't paid the money and I didn't make the time in my schedule. It just wasn't priority. And as you know, I surf big waves. I mean, you can also have consequences in smaller waves, but this is definitely something, I mean, it's for anybody really if you want to learning how to breathe underwater, but specifically this like apnea freediving, I really didn't know what it was all about. A friend of mine earlier on in the year, a Brazilian surfer, had recommended this place in Amed, and I actually looked into some courses. Like it was probably around June. I didn't have any time because we were in the season, but now it's the most perfect time because yes, up until last week Friday, I didn't surf the day before I left for the course. I've been surfing pretty consistently now for the last 3 weeks, and in the last week we actually had some really big swell. I mean, not like Uluwatu swell. I mean, maybe it was kind of like Uluwatu swell. It was probably really big at Nusa Dua, Geger, and other places like up that side. Yeah, I ended up surfing in Karamas. You'll probably see the vlog there. I can link it somewhere up here. You can click on that and watch that. So anyway, like really last minute, I think I only messaged them sometime in the week and I asked them when their next course was, and they had one midweek and then they had one for just this past weekend. And let me tell you, it was so good. It was so good. I've got so many things to share. And like, I want to share about like specifically what we did. And now it's definitely what they even said, what the instructor said at the beginning, that it's going to be an already, like in just the 2 days, it was definitely a transformative experience. Because again, like I had no idea what actually freediving was. All I knew what freediving was is I thought that freediving is you put your snorkel and your mask on, or you just have your mask and you go, and like what I see on Instagram, you just see everybody like swimming with the fish and swimming with like a whale shark or something. All the girls like with their long fins and doing like pretty poses underneath. I had no idea. I don't have any scuba diving experience. I actually had signed up to a course many years ago to get my level 1 when I was in Siargao Island in the Philippines. But when I started reading the book, it was so technical that I just never prioritized that. And there was quite a bit of theory that I had to learn with this freediving, but I'll talk about that later. Sip of coffee. It was over the 2 days. I'm really grateful. The instructor was amazing. Her name was Jalila. She is actually from France, Morocco. She's half French, half Moroccan. Beautiful girl, very experienced, and she was able to deliver everything that we needed to learn so well. I highly recommend taking the course from her. She was like so compassionate, but she was also allowing us to like, you know where our limits were and to push us. And I'm somebody that, yes, I'm very much in my body. Like if you're watching this, if you're seeing this for the first time, my channel, hello, welcome. I do have this side of me that I love. I actually also thrive on mental stimulation and learning all about like anatomy and the science of how we breathe and what our body does. I just thought it was so fascinating. And then we also then had like the physical component. So we did one pool session in a dive pool that was 25 meters long and 2 meters deep. And then we did 3 in the ocean sessions. And yeah, it was packed. 2 full days of like 2 full 8-hour days. Yeah, by yesterday afternoon when we finished the second session of the day, and we'd done 2 exams yesterday, written exams, we also had to meet some requirements. After yesterday, I was like, oh my God, I cannot learn anymore. My mental capacity is full. I can't learn anymore. Like my body was tired, not tired like as if I was like surfing or big wave surfing. I think just because, right, when you're learning something new, like it takes a lot of energy. And because also, there were requirements in exam, like we also had to be taking this in. And of course, not just because of the exam, but this is like important information that I think is pretty important to know and be aware of if you spend time in the ocean for whatever kind of activity, I guess, that you're in. It was actually funny on the Saturday night after our first day, when I went to sleep that night before I went to bed, I was scrolling and I typed into Instagram freediving, and then I started watching like all the freediving like reels. I had no idea what freediving was. Yeah, and then I was like able to like really see. Like it's definitely, I guess, the 2 participants that I had, which were also amazing. There was one girl from Germany and another guy from Netherlands, and we got along so well. The energy of the group was so good. We're all so supportive of one another. We were able to keep things light and laugh and had a really good time. We actually all ended up having dinner together on that first night, getting to know, one another after our course, which was really, really lovely. It was really nice for me because I haven't really been spending much time being social. So it was nice to go out and obviously like getting to know them. Yeah, it was really, really fun. And we all did so well. Just to say, like, this was very challenging. This was really hard. I mean, there's a reason why, you don't just meet everybody every day and they're a free diver. Like, this shit is hard. You can do it. Like, it's possible if you choose to do this, like, and you can do this. And of course, like, there are levels and there are different depths and different skills that you learn as you progress and as you advance. This is hard. And I think that we all did so well. I mean, it was all our first time. It's definitely opened something up to me. Look, it's not like I want to go do a free dive tomorrow or sign up for another course just yet. I definitely need a break. And my ears are still a little bit blocked. I'll kind of explain that in a bit. We had like a bunch of theory that we had to learn. I was able to hold a static breath, and I probably could do more now. But my second static breath that we did on the first day, I held 2 minutes 32 seconds. I could probably get longer next time now with the knowledge and like what your body is doing. And then I was able to dive, free immersion. I forgot the other name, where you're actually just kicking with your legs. You're attached by a lanyard, but I got to 10 meters and up, and then I did a rescue at 6 meters. It was incredible. I'm very comfortable. I'm totally fine at like 5 or 6 meters, or even maybe like 7 meters. But 10 meters is deeper. And she actually said, like, in time, if I did this again, I would feel really comfortable getting to 20 meters. So I'm not quite there yet. I really loved about learning, and this is actually great because now that I've done this and I'm aware that this is actually more what I was saying before. People kind of say this is more of a sport. I guess there's a different spectrum of like how you free dive. Like you can be like diving, like not many meters, somewhere really beautiful, and you're like looking at the fish or whatever is underwater. Then there's definitely the sport where I think the record holder, a Russian guy, he can go to like, I'm gonna say 96 meters. Wait, I'm gonna check that. Let me check. I was just rescheduling a meeting. I was just rescheduling a meeting that we had. The world champion free diver. He has 35 world records. It's a Russian man, and his name is Alexei Molchanov. And actually, I'm super grateful with our course this weekend that we were going to receive the level 1 for free diving, which is recognized in Southeast Asia. But then if there were some other requirements, certain things that we could do, we would then be able to qualify for the level 1 that is recognized worldwide. So I was able to receive my level 1 Molchanov's free diving course. Like we got like our certificate from Apneista, which is the school that I went to. There are actually many, many schools in Amed. I guess that's the place to do it. And of course, then globally, there are many, many free diving schools. Yeah, it was very cool. I mean, it was very, 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 very challenging. What I found the most challenging is once you actually learn, like there are ways to improve your breath, of of course, and they teach you, like the proper way to breathe. And there's actually, when you do a free diving course, there's actually 4 stages of breath that you will do. You do your tidal breathing, which is the beginning breath, and that lets you get into your full capacity holding that breath. And we have this little machine on the first day that we put on the ring finger. So then when we did our 2 breath holds, static breath holds on the first day, that when you hold your breath and then when you feel the first sign of your body contracting, you looked at the little machine that was on our finger and it had like a percentage. Mine was still at 100%. So that meant that actually I was still 100% fully oxygenated, and that actually if you're still at 100% or even all the way down to, even if you're at like 95 or 90 or something, like there's a certain number, then you actually, for 5 to 6 minutes after you start having that first contraction, you actually have 5 or 6 minutes of still breath and oxygen within you. Of course, like your space gets smaller and you need to learn the technique how to actually be able to still be holding your breath for that long. Yeah, and then actually if it drops down to like 75%, then you could maybe like black out. But of course, like we're not gonna go there. So once you actually understand that theory and the science that, when you actually start to have those contractions, you actually have a lot of time. Because I got to, on my second breath hold, I started feeling contractions and I put my hand up and then she was like, hold it. And my body started like moving. But then I was able to like just stay with it and feel it, because it's just your body doing that. If you can learn to just, as much as you can, like relax with that, then you actually have longer to hold your breath. So I could hold my breath for 2 minutes and 32 seconds. But it's that practice when you're down there underwater, just the contractions, and you're down somewhere deep, instantly you want to think, oh my God, I'm running out of air. Now I need to go back up. But if you can tell yourself to like relax, feel those contractions, and make the conscious awareness like, okay, I can just stay and just try to relax with that. That's where like this spiritual aspect of being so connected with your body and with your mind, and then with knowing and having that trust in yourself that like you're okay. And that's the entire practice. There was only the one dive, the first dive of the second day, which was only at 6 meters, and I stayed underwater for a minute, had to like go down the rope, stay there, hang out at the end at the 6 meters, and then slowly come up. Like once I got to the bottom of the 6 meters, the first dive on the second day, then I was supposed to stay there, count 10 seconds, and then come up. And I was actually upright. I was like, she was like, just, if you feel anything sinus or the contractions, just stay with it. Just try to like relax with it, be aware, enjoy. And I really was. I was like, okay, I'm here, I'm feeling this, everything is okay, enjoy. And in that morning as well, the visibility was quite good. The visibility wasn't great, and there was actually quite a bit of current in the water when we were doing our dives on the even the morning of the first day, and then the 2 days, the current of the second afternoon session was quite a lot in the water. I actually really was at a point, because I wasn't deep, so I wasn't having any pressure or sinus ear issues. I was just feeling a little bit the contractions, but I really tried to just like sit with it and accept it and know like, okay, I can just still hold and still hang out and be fine. And then I came up. Definitely a skill that they say that, you can learn to become better at, and, adapt your body to, learning what it needs to do when you're underwater. It really allowed me to, but it really teaches us, she was like, be really aware of what physically is going on when you start to feel pressure, when you need to like equalize, whether it's your head or your neck or your ears, and then also notice what your self-talk is. And that's the practice. I was very much like, when I was like down there and feeling like sensations like it's hurting, if I hadn't equalized enough. Mostly the second day, which I was quite proud of. I think I had so much more breath, but I really had to learn how to properly equalize. It's also not like you pinch your nose and you push out and your ears pop. It actually, she says, it's just a very like gentle. You don't have to forcefully, do it really hard. Because all of us did that, and we're all a little bit bleeding, or some of us a lot. Like I had a few blood clots come out of my nose and also out of my mouth. That's just like the little capillaries. But when you learn to just do it very gently. So there's so much technique involved. But one of my key things that I noticed and this is something where, on a much deeper level, a much more where I feel that there's been a new awareness that, now I'm very close. Sorry about that. For me, when I start to feel uncomfortable, or if there's pain, or let's just say like uncomfortable, or when I start, even before it might get to like anxiety, or if you feel like anxious, my flight and fight response is I want to get out of there. Like mine is to flight. Mine isn't necessarily like to fight. Well, sometimes I have fought in the past with a fight and flight. I got to learn about myself that as soon as I started to feel like the pressure from my sinuses, not so much with the contractions, I was able to deal with that one better, but with the pressure in my sinuses and my ears, I really had to learn how to like just sit there and try to do what I needed to do technically. Like we're supposed to like sort of do some stretches with our neck and equalize and just sit with it, but also on a much deeper, I guess, emotional level and mental level. Like for me, I'm like, I'm out of here. Actually, if you can learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable and not to run away, that's where I know what I've learned and what's something that I need to work on, because that's true. When I feel sometimes if there's conflict or there's something uncomfortable, I like to get myself out of the situation, because if I do stay, then I will fight. And that's something that I've talked about different situations this year, and obviously like in the past with relationships. For me, I've learned that if there is if I'm like, let's say a fight with a boyfriend, or there was that situation with the friendship misalignment this year with myself and that girl this year, is that I cannot, if I am feeling emotional, I'm angry, I'm upset, that is not the right time for me to have a conversation with somebody, because it will be a confrontation. So for me, my thing is to remove myself, which I think is actually healthy. But also what I see, which could also be both ways for me, when I start to feel uncomfortable with something, and what I've even noticed in the last few weeks here in Bali, is that I almost like isolate myself. I remove myself from, it's almost like I take myself away so that I can, that's my coping mechanism, is to flight. And that's common for so many people. Kind of interesting. That's what I do, like, I guess physically, but also just the self-talk about, in that specific example of like being down in the water, that I just need to take a moment just to pause and reflect and just notice my self-talk and notice like what my body's doing. I hope this makes sense. It's literally just the next day, and I'm exhausted mentally from the experience, and actually I'm a little bit tired. My legs are a little bit tired from the kicking because the current was quite strong. It's just, I guess, unlocked something that I would definitely like to do again for sure, and I really want to get those long fancy fins, and I want to get a mask that feels really good. Also, what I found was something interesting to me. If I don't, going into a situation that's challenging, if I don't first of all feel comfortable in myself, then it's hard for me to do what I need to do, right? Like, let's say, example, the first morning we got given a wetsuit, we got given fins, and they gave us the mask. And the mask that I wore the first day, I think maybe it was too big. The mouthpiece was too big, the mask was too big, and then I made it extra tight to stay on my face. Not only on the first day was I feeling so much pressure from the sinuses in my ears, but also the mask was like really pressed up against my face so that I had the indentation of my forehead. The next day I had a different mask. Also, I realized like with the fins, they were, they're like whatever fins they had, which was fine, but they still felt a bit like heavy and clunky on my feet. Jalila was saying that like, when you get those longer fins, like it feels lighter, they're fitted. I mean, you definitely need to learn the technique of what your legs and what your feet are doing. I think for me, because I am a very feeling person and I'm quite aware of sensations on my body. The second day I definitely felt better with the mask on my face, which made me just instantly feel more comfortable going into the water. Also, I think that's something for me that I never really was into for scuba diving, that there was so much gear. I like to feel more free. So even by the second day in the morning in the second session, I was feeling more comfortable with the gear just because I never put a mask on my face. Also, the second day I tried to make sure that the Velcro around my neck wasn't too tight so that I could feel feel like I could also breathe. These may be minor things for other people, but I found it really important for me. So moving forward in the future, I'd like to get gear that's, specific for me. Jalila even said that her wetsuit, because she's got quite long limbs, she got hers specifically made so that it's, it's fitted. You don't want your wetsuit too tight, but then you don't want it too loose. She said you want a really nice snug fit. And then of course, I really want to practice. There's like these charts that you could access online about doing different breath holds that you can do to increase your breathing, your breath hold capacity. Going back to it, definitely there was a lot of like physical things that I learned and I was exposed to and open to, but on a much deeper sense, it just allowed me that I really need to learn to allow myself to really trust in myself. And that's something this year that I've really focused on working on, is trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, making decisions that feels right for you. And nobody can tell you what you're feeling or what you need to do. Specifically, maybe obviously the instructor was there for us for the free diving. Nobody will tell you specifically like in free diving, like how you're feeling. So that's why it's so important to understand then how you're feeling and noticing, being aware of your body sensations and your self-talk. And then you translate that over into real life. It's so important to have those awarenesses about yourself, like moment to moment, like having presence. Like it was definitely a practice of presence. And I'm grateful that I have in the past, obviously, and still do, my meditation and my yoga practice. I'm very grateful for that. I've been practicing yoga for more than 20 years and I've had a very consistent meditation practice since 2020. And they're practices that I will have for a lifetime. And I'm grateful now let's talk about big wave surfing now. And it can happen also with waves that are smaller, but specifically for me, for big wave surfing, I'm so grateful that I've been able to, this year and last year, surfing these big waves, is just develop my own skill, my own capacity every time I've gone into the water. And this year I have surfed every single big swell at Uluwatu. I think almost every single big swell that there was. Maybe there's 1 or 2 days that I didn't surf, but pretty much the waves were 6 foot and more all the way up to the biggest days, I was there. I was there at outer peak. I was there at peak, but I was there at peak. Then when it gets to, the XL days, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus foot waves, I was at outer peak and bommy. And I've been able to, with every single session that I had, I've been able just to practice, like every time if I either got a set on my head because I was on the inside, or once I came off the wave, then, being in the whitewash afterwards, I've been able to just practice my own skill, which is now amazing because now that I have learned and I'm aware of if you're being held down specifically, and I have had moments where I'm held down and I feel like the urge, like I need to take a breath. Now having that awareness, like, okay, I just need to, wait until I can go up, but know that those body contractions, I've really just got to allow myself to be like, just to like wait. And that's what I do anyway. For me, people have asked me in the past, like, oh my God, what do you do? Do you panic? And I definitely have not panicked. I know that going out into those size waves, that there are consequences and you probably will have a wipeout and a hold down. Definitely prepared for that. And I've been able to, in my mind already, just say, okay, I need to just enjoy the wipeout. I always have my eyes aware of what's happening and I just have to stay as calm as I can. I'm super grateful now that with all this knowledge and the training that I've had this weekend, that it's just going to add another dimension and layer to my experience of being in these size waves, that I'm more equipped now and aware of what could happen, and to know that when I do start to have the urge to breathe if I'm being held down, that I just need to again be relaxed and wait, because I actually have probably 5 to 6 more minutes I could stay underwater. And what's interesting is I had probably some longer ones, but the reel that went viral this year, it had a count on it that I was under for 15 seconds. I mean, 15 seconds is nothing. Probably in real life, that probably felt more, it was only 15 seconds in real life. This was like August 1st, I think. I can actually also insert the clip here for you to see the wave and then the wipeout. And that was only, I think, 15 seconds. Now that probably at the time for me felt more like 30 seconds. And that's why it's interesting that in the comments, people are like, oh my God, it was only 15 seconds, blah, blah, blah. But it's different. When you are in big waves and you're wiping out and you're in that massive aggressive washing machine, or if you're being held down, 15 seconds is, I guess, a long time in regards to that. 15 seconds in real life is nothing. It's nothing. But when you're under those conditions and those conditions of big waves, it feels like a lot more. It's kind of interesting because I know at the beginning of this year, probably January at Sunset Beach in Hawaii on the North Shore, I had my most violent and many waves. I mean, I came up in between each breath and barely just got a breath, but I had my longest and most violent, blackest, deepest wipeouts at Sunset Beach. And I never experienced really, really long ones like that here in Uluwatu in Bali. Let's see, I'm going to Hawaii next, but I'm ready. Let me tell you, I am ready to just, that's why I'm preparing myself. And that's obviously why I've taken this course for more preparation for that. But obviously in general as well for my surfing. I don't know, maybe that was like maybe 20 seconds that I had at sunset. I don't know how long that was. Yes, in real life, even like 5 seconds if you have it, or even like 8 seconds, 12 seconds, 15 seconds, doesn't feel like long, like in real life. But when you're in that condition of a wipeout and a hold down, yeah, it's a really long time. What's really great is actually, yes, I did do a static hold for 2 minutes and 32 seconds. So at least I know I can hold that, but I mean, that would be so long. I think the guy, Malchanov, I think he could hold he went to the depths, the Russian freediver world champion. He's gone as deep as 156 meters variable weight on one breath. With bifins, he goes as deep as 125 meters, and then with a monofin, 136. Now, I think he held his breath for like... Let's see what it is. Oh my God. His dive time, his record with the bifin in Honduras, 136 meters, which is 446 feet with a monofin. He was underwater for 4 minutes, 37 seconds. That is crazy. You can go and watch I can link his Instagram underneath here. Yeah, obviously I'm not going for any world records, and I definitely don't need to become a professional for freediving. It's definitely something I would try again, and I'm super grateful. It's definitely opened me up to do that. I would love to do it. I would love to do it on a day where it's like super clear visibility and where there's no current and you're just like floating. I think that would be a different experience. Also, the first day for me, because I couldn't see, for me, I don't get scared in the ocean until I can't see. Now, the visibility on those days, it wasn't the greatest. So I was also diving 10 meters down where there wasn't much visibility around me. That's a little bit scary. That's a little bit scary as well. I think something also naturally that I do before I go in for a big wave surf session, and then this is also why I'm like feeling mentally exhausted and I couldn't do any more free diving today. Like I'm going to do some work on my screens. I may try and get a massage, but I need to like have a checkout today, some downtime. Because on the second day, I realized that maybe the first day I wasn't taking enough time to do my preparation breath, my tidal breath, the breath where you can take as long as you want, however long it needs to be, where you just do really relaxing belly breathing, because you want to get your body into that very relaxed parasympathetic state. It's almost that parasympathetic state is the state just before you fall off to sleep. On the second day, I really tried to stay so interconnected within myself and connected within myself, and just go into like focusing just on my breath, feeling really relaxed in my body, feeling really relaxed and present in my mind before you take that last breath and then you go down, because that's your last breath. So you want to have a good breath and be able to really hold it. I also had to get myself into the zone, had to get myself into this very focused, relaxed state. That's tiring, let me tell you. I think that's what I'm most exhausted about, that I really had to stay in that very focused, relaxed state. Because of course, like if you don't take a big enough breath, so you want to be able to prepare yourself properly. And I do that on big wave days. I know that as I walk down through the warungs and as I'm walking down to the stairs, I go into this I try not to even talk to anybody. I'm in the cave, I do my stretches, and then as soon as I'm like coming out of the cave, even if there's someone coming in, I even try not to like look at them. I really already try to get myself into like that zone, that mental state. And as well, I know that before a big wave session, I just try to like start getting connected with my breath and moving my breath in and out. It's kind of interesting that there are some things that I do naturally, and I don't know if maybe that comes from my yogic training. Maybe that just comes from like it's a natural thing for me. Maybe it's from the that's bikini stale. Bikini. So I think there's some things that I've naturally, or maybe I've just learned to do over time. Hey! Bikini is rubbing her fluffy white fur all over my microphone. Bikini. Now she's working on my roadcaster. No. Okay. Hello. Did you want to say hello to everybody? Come. She actually has a funny eye. I put some eye drops already. Come say hello to everybody. Oh my God. Come. Let me say hello. Let me say hello to my friends. Bikini. How are you? Why are you walking all over my microphone? How is your eye? You want to say hello? Oh, your poor little eye. What's up with that eye? You love your mommy? Oh, Bikini. Bikini. Say hi. What? Oh, what's the Bikini? Want to say hi? I'm obsessed with my cats. Yes, it's giving. I don't even going to say it's giving crazy cat lady because I'm not a crazy cat lady, but I am a very passionate lover of cats. So that's what this is giving. Anyway, where's my coffee? I think also this week, it's Monday now, so let's talk about last week. Wednesday, Thursday, I went to Karamas, and then just over the weekend, I did Saturday and Sunday at Amed doing this freediving course. And up until Friday, I did a Pilates class in the morning, or a reformer class. Yeah, this month, December, I have already started to prepare myself and like hit my goals and create changes on all the different levels of my life. I'm now on day 9 of having no sugar. I have had no sugar syrup in my coffee. I have had no vegan chocolate or cakes. I've been cooking up until if I was away, but I was cooking all my meals at home. So I've been really trying to focus on my health. I could always still keep focusing on my sleep. That's probably something that I need to focus on more. I've been really dialed in with doing things for my business. I've started to, obviously, I've started doing strength classes to prepare my body to become strong. And then the more I talk about it, actually, as women, as we're aging, it's really important to do resistance training, strength training, because it helps with our bone density. I've really focused on this concept of I'm somebody that is always seeking for expansion and to amplify my life on all different areas. And in order to do that, to change, you need to be doing different things, thinking differently, acting differently, feeling differently. So I've really stepped out of my comfort level by going to Karamas last week. That's a very fast, technical, my backside wave, very barrely, very fast, very steep. I did that. I never thought that I would be chasing right waves around the island that I have been in the last few weeks. And then also signing myself up for this freediving course. Again, I really didn't know what I was signing up for, but now that I realized that I've done it, I was really, I've heard so many people now. I posted some, and I can actually put the clips here in this video of me doing the freediving. Yeah, not easy. It looks beautiful, but that was not easy. And a lot of people have said, wow, I want to try that. I really need to learn to do that. It's something like, I don't think this is so common. Maybe it's not that common because it's not been an interest of mine. I've been really not pushing myself, but I have been choosing intentionally to do different things so that I am able to evolve and I am able to expand. And, if that's anything like today is a reflection, but that's definitely, I encourage you and what I invite to do in your life, whatever that means for you, whatever type of lifestyle you have. Maybe you are a surfer, maybe you are a free diver, maybe you are a woman in business, whatever area area of life, I definitely invite you, and this is moving forward now, we're 9th of December, we are in the last month of the year, that if you desire you have your intentions and desires and your goals that you wish to achieve for 2025 and beyond, start to create that awareness of, what do you value? What are your priorities? What matters to you? And then think about what is it that you want to achieve in the future in any key area of your life, whether it's your money, your career, your friendship, love, creativity, passions, wherever it is. And then start to make some decisions about taking action on what do I need to do, take an action, right? And be proactive. Okay, I'm going to do this differently so that I can create differently. It's something that I think every video I talk about, that if you want different and you want things to change in your life and to evolve and to expand and amplify, like you cannot just keep doing and thinking and feeling and being the same. Because nothing's going to change. And it's something that Jalila, my instructor, said, that it's about becoming comfortable in the uncomfortable. It's also something that I learned a concept and an insight from my yogic training years and years ago. What I learned also from Baron Baptiste, my first yoga guru, who I still regularly listen to his podcast every week, that he has a new podcast that comes out, that it's about learning to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable, to stay in a moment, to figure out what your breath is doing, what your thoughts are, what your body is. Like to come initially away from the thoughts, come into your body, come into your breath, and just, to say to yourself, relax. And that's challenging and that's the whole point. Everybody wants to feel comfortable, and to change and to do things differently and to learn something different or becoming different. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. I'm not going to say, like, when I talk to people for business, like building a business online, even like big wave surfing or even like a yoga practice or freediving, like nothing is easy, but you get to choose what you do in life. And then you get to choose about your intentions and what your attitude's going to be. So many people talk about, I want to change and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm also guilty of this. Like, I want to start a podcast. Fuck, I haven't started the podcast yet, But, that's that podcast. But with other things, it's like, are you really walking your talk? Or are you just like saying the things that you want to do, right? I invite you to become aware of, even just in the moment after watching this, just reflect or journal about, like, what are your self-thoughts? What is your self-talk? What is that narrative that's always playing? And become aware of that. And to then also notice throughout your day when you're in different situations, whether it's like where you're feeling really happy or if you're feeling a little bit stressed and anxious, start to become aware of the sensations in your body and start to create that awareness between your own narrative and between the sensations in your body, and then your breath. Use your breath to allow yourself to come back into presence, become back connected into source, into spirit. So I know that that's a lot. This has been kind of a long talking video, but I really wanted to just share and reflect on my insights and my learnings and my awarenesses from my weekend from freediving. Of course, if you want to take a freediving course, I recommend it. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but I definitely recommend it. It's definitely a transformative experience. I thank you so much for listening, and I do hope that you found some value and some vibe from this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. So hit the subscribe button, as well as if you liked the video, loved the video, give me a thumbs up. And please, if you have any other feedback or anything that you want to ask me or share something, leave it in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you next video. Okay, bye for now.